and gentlemen, another Ladies Beyond Flying Aviation Women panel. It's the 47th already since our journey began in 2020. By the way, we are exactly 4 years ago. We started on the 8th of July. And so 4 years ago, we are on Ladies Beyond Flying. That's a phenomenal journey. Yeah, my name is Daniel Stecher. I'm here, the host and technical facilitator. And today, I'm very glad that I could find a colleague from IBS Software who is talking about embracing the power of positive reframing, transforming perspectives for a brighter outlook. And I know a little bit her story, so I believe it will be a fantastic talk. I will help you, Ioana. So if all the other attendees have questions, they will raise their hand with the functionality of MS Teams, and then I will help you and call them in. And yeah, I wish us fantastic 45 minutes, 40 minutes roundabout. Ioana, what is the plan?
I think about 25 minutes, and then maybe we could have an open discussion. That would be great. Otherwise, I'll just have to find something for another 20 minutes.
Stage is yours.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Daniel. Hi, Sonia. Hello, Anna. So I'll just share my screen quickly. So what I've done so far today was just to do one slide for a presentation for us, which would just be a quick intro. I hope you can see my screen. I think you should be. Great. So just a short introduction about myself. So my name is Ioana Stan. I was born and raised in Bucharest in Romania. I've studied business management in the UK. I've lived for 12 years in the Middle East, so that's most of my adult part of life, basically. I moved there when I was 21, and I started my aviation journey with Emirates Airlines in 2011. And then from 2013 to 2022, I was with Etihad Airways in end of 2022. And then I transitioned into IT in 2023, moved to the UK, where I currently live at this point, and I'm enjoying the weather. I'm trying to be positive about it, but it's a bit difficult sometimes because it's summer and it's 14 degrees, but this is not about the weather. So carrying on, I currently work for IBS Software as a lead product consultant. And I've been in my current role for almost 18 months now, which I thoroughly enjoy at this point. So I'll just stop sharing. I just like to go back onto my camera and just keep it as a free-flowing conversation. So Daniel, as you said, you'll be able to help me with questions if they come in. And then just basically start sharing. So I'd like to share a journey of perseverance, growth, and transformation. At the age of 21, I began my career in aviation in Dubai. That is the time when I moved abroad, basically. I did travel abroad in my childhood with my parents for holidays and so on, but I had never lived on my own. So it was quite a big move for me. It was life-changing. However, I've had ambition in my heart and determination in my soul, so I applied for a job with Emirates as a reservation and ticketing agent. 6 weeks later, my life changed as I moved to start anew. So it was a crucial moment in my life as I was so young and hadn't been to that part of the world previously. Obviously, I had so many thoughts. I looked online, but back then the internet wasn't as complex as it is today, I would say. So the information was quite limited. However, there was enough information to prepare myself for the next journey that I was about to embark on. Which initially, and I think this might apply to people who have lived in the Middle East, they will say, oh, I'll just be there for a few years. And then basically 10 years on, I was still there, but it was fantastic. So from the very beginning, I knew I wanted more in life. So despite being young and inexperienced, I sought growth within the aviation industry. Maybe it's worth mentioning that working for Emirates was my first job. I had previously started studying law school, and it just didn't work. It wasn't for me. So I tried continuing it. It didn't work. I then directed myself towards getting into a career. So aviation came along. So that's how I started. So I started at a call center where I discovered a passion for training, and that's where I became an on-the-job trainer. However, my aspirations extended beyond my current environment, and this has led me to become a cabin crew member with Etihad Airways. That was quite an interesting journey. I didn't fly for long. I think it was a little bit over a year. It was interesting. I think this job, and I admire everyone who does it, you need to have a lot of patience and strength to do it, and passion for it. So I've explored new places, I've embraced new experiences. It was absolutely fantastic. I think I've been to places to which I might not reach because it's difficult to plan travels far. However, I've seen most of those places as part of my experience as a cabin crew, which was fantastic. However, I shortly after realized this path wasn't sustainable for me in the long term. So I then continued my quest for learning and growth and exploring new opportunities. So, being quite new in the company and within the aviation industry still, I wasn't too sure what should I do, where should I head, or how should I do this basically, because it's very easy to just wonder what you want to do in life, but you do need some examples, you need to speak to people, you need to do a bit of research. So, during my time as a crew, I started speaking to our colleagues in aircraft dispatch, asking them how is the job? What do you have to do? What is your exact job description? What does it entail? Do you need any special qualifications and so on? And one of the things that they actually have to do is the manual load sheets of aircraft, so it's weight and balance. Mostly everything is automated now. However, you do still need to be trained just in the event that technology is not on our side, which can happen. So I was a bit discouraged because, to be fair, I wasn't very good at mathematics when I was young. But I said, you know what? I was young. I'm younger now, let's say. Like, I'm a bit wiser at this point, so I can try and give it a go. And I did that. So that was the turning point for me when I became an aircraft dispatcher. And it was a job which I truly loved. I loved doing manual load sheets, which was so surprising because sitting with a calculator and going through all the numbers and like looking at fuel figures and passenger figures and cargo figures and so on, I never thought I would just be passionate about that, to be honest. But it was absolutely fantastic. So I loved it. It wasn't easy because you had to work in the intense UAE summer heat. So I've done 4 summers in the UAE outside on the ramp, which was challenging. I think that's where I picked up a very healthy habit of staying hydrated all the time, which is absolutely fantastic. I still do that. I'm trying to also manifest the heat in the UK, but it doesn't seem to happen. But leaving that aside, we'll go back to what I'm trying to say is the thrill of handling various operational situations for me was exhilarating. So I used to thrive under pressure, managing disruptions and long shifts with a smile on my face. And now when I look back, I think I just wonder, how did I manage to do so? But I guess when you're passionate about something, it just becomes natural and you just push through it. So we used to have shifts that used to start at 4 a.m., which meant for me that I would have to be up at 2:30 in the morning at least to be at the airport for a 4 a.m. start. I'm not going to say that I used to smile from 4 a.m. No, I needed a coffee before I could smile, definitely. However, it was still nice. It was still like a unique experience, which I've really, really enjoyed. Even up to today, I think, even when I travel and I go airside and I approach the aircraft, I just get this sense of like happiness. I know it might sound a bit geeky. However, I'm just passionate about aircraft and aviation, I guess. The next period of my life, it's basically where something has happened. So unfortunately, an accident in 2016 has forced me to pivot once more. That ended my time as a dispatcher, which was quite sad for me because I basically ended up in a situation where I didn't know what I should be doing with my life. I had no idea. Although there were plenty of opportunities, I couldn't see them then. I'm going to be very honest. All I could see was just darkness, basically, because there were quite a few complications in terms of my health, thinking of what I should be doing, focusing on getting better, and then trying to think of the future. So I guess for a period of time, I haven't been that positive. I didn't reframe my thoughts at all. It was just a matter of basically surviving, just surviving from an appointment to an appointment, surviving from trying to keep my job and then trying to move into a different direction and just trying to do something to stay alive, basically. So that was the point for me when I've thought of reframing my thoughts. That was the time in my life when I've realized that if I just stay negative, I'm not going to change anything. I need to make a change to something good. I need to accept the fact that something has happened. I'm not the same person anymore. However, I'm alive. I'm walking. I can still have a job. I can still do plenty of things in life. And I should embrace that. So it took me a while to understand that, and basically to let go of the person I used to be before the accident, which was, it was quite tough because it's not easy. However, even now, leaving aside the accident, if I think back of this period, which I just talked about, being an aircraft dispatcher, to be honest, I still smile because I think that was the time of my life. That was the period when, even though it was tough, it was beautiful. I learned so much. I worked under extreme conditions, but with people that made things easier sometimes. Sometimes it was challenging because that's how life is, basically. But that's still a beautiful period of my life. So for the next 2 years, so I think it was roughly from April 2016. So for 2 years, I faced a lot of uncertainties about my health, about my career, about what I would be doing, as I mentioned. So that's the time when I actually had my first opportunity to work in project management and to do a software implementation. And rather than staying negative and focused on what I cannot do, I started focusing on things that I can actually do. So doing the software implementation for a particular product, that's how I've discovered a new field which I would become passionate about. Again, it's the same with doing a manual load sheet. I never expected I would like it, but I tried, because if you don't try, you will just not know. So I became passionate about software implementation, project management, IT, and so on. And eventually, this has led me to the airline's Ops Control Center, where I worked as an operations controller for about a year as a step forward to try and learn more and then to try to progress from there. So this was quite interesting because, again, I never expected my life to turn that way. I just took a chance and then it happened, which I think it was fantastic. So although it took me a while to feel settled and secure and see the light at the end of the tunnel, juggling medical appointments and spending most of my time at the hospital, trying to recover, trying to learn new things, progress in my career, change my career around, basically it was quite challenging and difficult. However, what I did is I reached within. And then I used my ambition and my strength to carry on, as I knew giving up was not a solution for me. So this is where, again, I'll emphasize reframing my thoughts, thinking that I'm capable of doing things, thinking that there are ways and options and opportunities for me. I just need to start looking at them rather than just focusing on things that I can no longer do. So I think it's really important that whatever happens in our life is just, we need to look within. We need to just look deep down and we will reach somewhere. It's not going to happen overnight, and nobody's going to come and tell you, hey, I'll just hold your hand and I'll tell you what to do. I wish it would be that easy, but it's not, unfortunately. But I think it's a journey that we need to take ourselves and we need to explore it. And one of the things, I guess, that helped me to do so, which isn't necessarily career related here, is that I used to do a lot of yoga. So yoga has helped me a lot in many ways in terms of physical recovery and mental health as well, and strength and resilience. So I think it was 2018 when I decided that I deserved to have a month off, and I basically gathered all my leave and I managed to just get 4 weeks to put them together, and I traveled to Nepal for 3.5 weeks, where I became a yoga teacher. Now, everyone was surprised because they said, okay, aviation, yoga teacher, now you're changing. What do you want to be doing with your life, and so on? And it's just the usual questions, and people just keep asking. And I said, you know what? I'm doing what's good for me at the end of the day. And I don't need to explain myself. This is another thing which I learned and I'm grateful for, that you don't necessarily need to explain your actions to anybody, as long as you know what you're doing is good for you. And obviously you're not harming anybody and there's no bad intentions. Just carry on with your journey, because that's what you need to do. You need to stand up for yourself and you need to do what's good for you. So,
have you been in Kathmandu or in other places in Nepal?
I was in Kathmandu. It was on the outskirts of Kathmandu. Yes, it was beautiful.
I didn't know that you were, because Nepal is for me the best vacation destination I ever had in my life. And
really?
I made a trek in 1997, and amazing experience, really. And so that's why, I'm glad that you were also in Nepal.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was transformative. And I think the way and the lifestyle of the people in Nepal is just amazing. And it was so nice and relaxing. And the fact that I did not stress for 3 weeks, I think that was like, wow, okay, like we need a reset like this once in a while, because it's easy to say don't get stressed. We all get stressed, unfortunately, but we need to learn how to manage it, I guess. So yeah.
So when you look back now again,
Mm,
and of course, it's a philosophical question and potentially difficult to answer, but if you can choose again, having this accident again or not,
I will
what
have
would
it
you?
again. I will have it again. I would not change it.
But that was my hope you will answer it, because I
Yeah.
think in every crisis is an opportunity, and I
Yes.
think having issues, challenges, of course, not accidents. Nobody wants to have accident, but
Mm,
negative experience is something positive for the rest of life. And I think what you were just telling is exactly the proof of this. And of course, when you are in the midst of this crisis situation, because you don't know what will come in the future,
mm,
you freak out. You believe, oh my goodness, I will never go through this, and this is the end of everything. But then with a certain distance, and then in the hindsight, you realize, oh, that was good. Luckily, I'm able to experience this, and
mm.
next time you're much better prepared if another accident could take place.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And I think I used to live in a bubble before the accident. I literally, like, I used to just be so careless. I mean, careless. I was 26. So, yeah, I was young. I was like enjoying life, being a dispatcher, living in Dubai, fantastic life, easy. Everything was just easy. And then I think the accident made me grow up a lot and made me understand things about life, which, again, I wouldn't change it because I am where I am today as a result of it, and I'm happy where I am today. And it's nice to say that. I think that's one of the best things in life. It's nice to be happy where you are and comfortable with yourself, because it takes a lot to do that and to reach to that point and to feel it and to be genuine. So, because it's easy to say I'm happy, but if you don't feel it within, then you need to ask yourself again and maybe
But this
sit
is
with
now
yourself.
this quite interesting whether, because we
Mm,
always aspire for happiness, for luck, for success, for everything. Whether we should also, cheers, my wife, has, whether we should also aspire, or let's say create artificial in accidents or artificial challenges, artificial crises, which are not, let's say, life-threatening, but
mm,
which help, for example, growing kids. Usually, you have helicopter parents, and they try to avoid everything negative from
mm,
from their kids. The same for in school, and then when you go to work, have your first job. Companies try everything to have a smooth start,
mm.
but what about to create some smooth, rocky environments from time to time in a good manner, where then also you do a lessons learned, and that you really create this resilience for workforce, for life. I think nobody is considering this to have it as a framework for everybody's life.
I think it's essential. And what you mentioned, lessons learned. Like how many people nowadays they look at lessons learned, to be honest, because or maybe I'm wrong in saying this, so please feel free to correct me, but usually it's a matter of pointing fingers and finding the guilty person and then like, right, he's guilty, that's it, let's deal with the
Yeah.
situations and it's done. No, just take a step back, look at it, look what you can change, look what you can do differently. And but you need to be open to that and you need to accept constructive feedback. So that's another thing as humans, I think we need to work on it. Because if you live in a place where you think you're always right or you cannot be wrong, then I rest my case because then it's difficult. But I think we can all change. I'm not saying a fundamental change, but I think we can adapt and I think we can be flexible. And I think I'm living proof, at least for myself. I don't intend to be a role model for anybody, but I know how I used to be, and I'm proud of where I am today because of that accident. Because, yes, it was horrible. However, I stand here today and I'm happy. And yeah, and I became a yoga teacher. I don't really teach, to be fair, but I still do yoga once in a while, but that was part of my journey. So I think that was just fantastic. Yeah.
Sonia, Sadia, I'm sure you have some thoughts. Sadia, for sure, because I think, Ioana, you are part of her first cohort of her program. So, any thoughts you would like to add to this nice conversation I have with Ioana?
Do you want to go, Sonia? Or shall I go?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. I think the thoughts that are coming up for me are well, the word is courage, really. It's courage to tell your story today. It's courage to go through what you went through then. It's courage to keep going when things are really difficult and you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. That's the word that was coming up for me when I was listening to you, and I think that it's tough, isn't it? I mean, life will give you so many circumstances. There's a beautiful quote, actually. There's a beautiful quote by this chap called Peter Crone, and he says, life will give you people and circumstances to show you where you're not free.
Oh.
And what I take from that quote is that we're all walking along this path of life. You know, we're all kind of one foot in front of the other in this path of life. And you come across people and you come across circumstances. And those circumstances kind of they can make you feel things. Or the people can make you think things and feel things. But all of those things are inside of you already. It's just those people and those circumstances that are showing you those parts of yourself. And then it's for you to work on those parts of yourself to get to the next level. Because once you work on it, and once you smooth it out, you know, whatever the bump is, you smooth it out within yourself, you don't see the same circumstance again. You know, you don't interact with the people in the same way again. So therefore you don't get grated by the same things again. So we see the same things until we learn the lesson.
Yeah.
And then when we learn the lesson, it's like, okay, now you're on level 2. Okay, now you're on level 3. Now you're on level 4. And you just keep walking and you keep meeting the people and you keep seeing the circumstances and you keep chiseling away at this human being that you are until you have your final masterpiece at some point. And so that's what's coming up for me. And thank you so much, Ioana, for sharing your story today. And I feel very grateful to know you before this conversation as well. So thank you for that too.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that as well. So I'm also in that same cohort, Daniel. So I know both Sadia and Ioana from there. And it's really nice to have someone give a talk and be as authentic as you are and be as vulnerable, willing to tell us about your feelings and about how you reframed it in a positive way. I think it takes a lot of, going back to Sadia, it takes a lot of courage for one to do that. And it also takes a certain level of self-reflection. And I think that's where people that do not learn from those negative experiences don't stop to self-reflect, right? And they're saboteurs, as we learned. You know, they might be in the victim role, or they might just not, you know, they might blame it on others and not actually look at the gift of the opportunity to learn from it and to either, you know, those gifts, either add knowledge or you add innovation and all of those things we learned in our course. And And when someone does have that self-reflection and someone does have the courage to talk about it, it's inspiring. So your story is very inspiring, Ioana, and I really appreciate you sharing that with us. So I'm glad I joined the meeting today. So that was really good. Thank you.
Thank you, Sadia. Thank you, Sonia. You want to say something, Daniel?
Yeah, because Sadia was talking about words, and I believe, and the theme of your talk is about reframing and perspectives and so on. And I have a suggestion how you call the accident from now on. Call it serendipity.
Okay, and that's interesting.
Because first of all, it gives a positive sense to something. And let's say every time you meet somebody is a serendipity. Because you meet somebody new, maybe somebody is mean, blah blah. But it's always a learning for something. So, and I was just mentioning this word. This is a difficult word for German in English, but and somebody told me there's also a movie which has this name. So maybe from now on, call it not accident, call it serendipity.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion. Thank you. I never thought of this actually. I think I often don't speak about this, to be fair. So, but yeah, I could do that. I could do that because then I could look at it more positively. I do look at it positively. However, obviously when you say accident, it comes with a bit of a negativity in it. But yeah, if we change the word, then yeah.
Yeah, because
I try to do that. Yeah.
My first reaction was when I hear accident, what happened? What was it? Can you tell me more? But then you talk, let's say, maybe everything what was somehow cut. I couldn't do this, blah, blah. But within serendipity, and then you tell the rest of your story.
Yeah.
I could this and this and this and this at this completely different framing.
Yeah. I think that's a good idea.
Just thinking aloud. Any other questions from the audience?
I would like to add a bit more if that's okay, because I'm
not
done.
Of course.
If that's all right, but thank you for the interventions. I appreciate that. So to come to the present moment, so the journey hasn't finished. So we stopped at being in Nepal for 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks almost, which was fantastic. I think one of my goals is to go back and reach to the second base of Everest. I'll do that at one point in this life. It's on my to-do list, and I'm hoping to be able to do that. But leaving Nepal aside, so I returned back to Abu Dhabi. That's when I basically had the chance to move into project management and again software implementation, which was absolutely fantastic. I just jumped at the opportunity. Again, it was uncharted territory. I didn't really know what to do there, but then I was basically selected as a subject matter expert. So looking back, the year that I've built on as experience, so the 9 years I had in aviation, that was basically bridging the gap in between me being in the business and then transitioning into IT, which again, if we go back to 2016, I'd be like, yeah, okay, I know how to do these things. So what will I do with them? Because I can't do the jobs anymore. But look where I am today. So 2020, I basically started software implementation. I've done that for a few years within Etihad, and then last year I've left the UAE and I've joined IBS Software, where I actually officially work in IT now, and I'm super proud of that because the business knowledge that I have and everything that I've been through is helping me today. Because I know now when I go and sit in a customer meeting, and if that takes place at the airport, I'm extremely excited because I'm a Navy geek. Anyway, I can't help it. So if we see aircraft like in a meeting, I'll need a second, like, wait, let it pass and then we can talk. But it's basically whatever I've done before that, I can use it today and I'm going to use it for my future. And I'll keep using it and I'll keep learning. And the more I see the world and the more people I meet, I'm just going to take their knowledge on board and then just expand into it, which I think is really fantastic. And it's just, again, it's a matter of how you want to look at things. So I guess if I were to just basically sum up this whole journey, is that I've learned that everything and anything is possible. You might be negative, you might not have a sense of direction, you might lose hope. Definitely, we're human at the end of the day. We can't be always positive. I mean, we can, but then we also need to be realistic. So I think this is where we can find a balance between positivity with realism, and then we reframe our thoughts to maintain a positive outlook in life. And I think that's just fantastic. And I initially had this talk scheduled for January. However, due to unforeseen circumstances in my life, it didn't happen. And if I look back, I'm happy it didn't happen then, because this is where Sadia comes into picture, and Sonia as well, and I can see Shireen is there as well. I've had the opportunity to join a program which is called Positive Intelligence through our Ladies Beyond Flying WhatsApp group. So we joined the cohort 1 with Sadia, where we've learned about positive intelligence. And it made me realize so many things that basically I went through life because I had to go through life. I stressed, I cried, I suffered, I beat myself up so much thinking that I need to do better, I need to be better, because no one's going to come and save me. But at the end of the day, it's not, what about me? What about the little one in me? Who looks after me? Because I look after the grown up, but I need to look after myself as well. And this is one of the things I learned with Sadia along the 6 weeks we've had together, that, you know what? Things will work out. You can change your thoughts. You can change the way you process things. You can change the way you react to situations. And I can say I've been through that a couple of weeks ago through a really stressful situation. And then actually Sadia asked me, so did you think of the worst scenario like you usually do? And I'm like, no, it didn't even cross my mind, because I've just managed to remove those thoughts from my head. Like, I now look at stressful situations and I think somehow I smile a bit, because I'm like, I got you. I'm going to deal with you in a much better way than I used to deal with before. And then things definitely look better. But again, it takes work. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen if you listen to a podcast every night. I'm not here to like sell on positivity, because I do believe in it, but you do need to put the work. If you don't work, then it's not going to happen. And if you don't make the effort for it. So yeah. So I think that kind of sums up what I wanted to say. And then thank you to Sadia, and thank you to Sonia and Sharina for joining. I really appreciate that, because we've been on this journey together, and I think it was really amazing.
Ioana, you've blown me away, and fantastic that you had another serendipity in January, or I think it was December.
Yeah.
And still, you always see everything rather half full, the glass, and not half empty. And talking now about your new role, because it's all about change management. So now you come as a vendor, new IT system. Of course, it always optimizes things, and processes can be changed. And you meet people who are used to the status quo, who are primarily not changers. So are you using certain experience from your life and personal experiences to convince your peers to make little steps here and there, and to encourage them to see this change for their organization, also positive change for their own life?
I do my best. I think it depends on the relationship I have with my peers. Obviously, if it's just people that I've just met, I just can't go and start talking about all these things, because they would be like, oh, hold on, okay, we weren't ready for it. So I'll mostly relate it to professional experience, because I've been through it. And then change isn't easy, even from a professional perspective. Changing softwares, I've been there. So yeah, I try to do that. And then I think once we build a relationship and we network more, and then this happens over the course of time, obviously, then we can share more. I think it's a matter of judgment, of seeing who you're speaking to, and then seeing how much are they able to process and take on as well. Because I feel like I sometimes empathize with people a bit too much. So I'm worried of saying something, because they might not be able to handle it. And even though I come with good intentions, it might impact them, and it shouldn't happen. I mean, yeah. So it depends, I guess.
Sharina, Anushka, you came on stage. Wonderful. I assure you have some comments, questions, or additions. Am I right?
Hi. I can go ahead. Yeah,
Yes,
it's okay.
yes.
Hi. No, wonderful presentation and speech. So very, I mean, you're my friend and colleague as well. So I would say I'm very proud and very touched to hear all your journey, and proud as well. And I would say, I mean, for me, when hearing this, I was smiling to myself, saying that, okay, it's really inspiring, that every day, I mean, like you said, it's human. We all go through ups and downs. Our mood is like a roller coaster, I would say, 24 hours 7. But yeah, and it's easier to be negative rather than positive in life. It's so much easier, and of course, which is bad. So so it's really, I mean, how you explained, and how for me, like inside you're a fighter. I would what I notice. So, and it's very inspiring, to for everyone, I would say, women or men, because we all go through challenges in life, and also how you've been, adapting to each situation without giving up. So that's, I would say, like, that's very inspiring for me. Yeah.
Thank you, Anichka.
Okay.
Sharina?
Okay, I wasn't meaning to speak per se because I was just listening, and I can see Sadia smiling and Sonia smiling. So, and because we have been to the cohort together, we have learned some of these principles together, kind of discussed all of these, much of these. So it's really good to see that being shared with a wider audience, for sure. And then, like Eunice was saying, it's not easy. Like, things are not easy, and then it's about how you kind of digest, reflect, then go ahead with it. And I like the swiftness of how Yona speaks, in the sense that, like, the words are just flowing, and then the all the emotions, the learnings is there, for us to benefit, and for herself to adapt to it, I think. So yeah, I just hope that in the future, through interactions with Iona, or with the course with Sadia, more people are able to kind of deal with their lives a little bit better. I think, just make it easier for others around us as well, and for ourselves. That's
Thank
my
you.
hope.
I hope so. Remember what I said in the course, that so we all have our saboteurs, or I call them the little monsters in our head. I made them my friends. So they're all my friends now, and then they play alongside me rather than against me. So I think that's something that, yeah, we could all benefit from learning, to be honest.
There's a good question from Vinitra. Vinitra, you want to ask your questions verbally?
Can you hear me, or is it very noisy here?
No, very good. Like, you're here in the middle of the room.
Okay, fine. Okay, yeah. So my husband is also there on the other call, so please don't mind if it's, you hear any crosstalk. Thanks, Ioana, for this inspiring story. I mean, it's not easy to move, departments or areas so swiftly here, knowing that you're going out of your comfort zone, and it's going to take some time for you to, pick up the new space, learn, and then move along with your peers. I just want to know, how did you manage to learn new stuff, new areas, new business, and meet with new people? How long did it take for you to adjust, and what was your learning curve? Or at some point in time, did you really feel that I shouldn't have, jumped from one area to the other? It's too difficult. Or did you feel any sort of regret, and how did you really overcome and manage to succeed?
Oh, that's a very good question, Vinitra. Thank you for asking that. So, I think if I will look back at the time when I used to work in the airline, so moving departments, I knew most of the people that I used to work with. I think that had a positive impact because it was easy to learn from people. But then at the end of the day, I had one goal in my head. I need to succeed. I need to be better. I need to do something. So that kept me going. I'm not saying it's the healthiest thing to do, but for me, that was my driver, basically, because I knew I had to do something else for myself. And then I guess I just embraced the learning curves. I'm still learning, to be honest. I mean, I think learning will never finish. Even where I am today, I still have so much more to learn, and I'm pretty sure we keep learning every day. I think it's just never ending. I think maybe what was the challenge for me was changing into just basically being with an IT company. And it's not a challenge in a bad way. It's in a way of, okay, right, you have to step up here. You're out of your comfort zone. Although you know some of your colleagues, because I used to work with them previously, changing countries, cultures, living in a different place, not going to the office and so on. That was a challenge for me in the sense of I had to adapt and be flexible, but I knew I could do it. So I always like what I try to do is when I go through a situation is I think of how have I done it before? And if it was good, that was good, but what can I do to make it even better this time? Because it's exactly if we stay on the same pattern, I think it's similar to what Sadia was saying. If you stay on the same pattern and you don't change anything, then I think you can still progress, but I think slower. So again, lessons learned, again, picking up from Daniel, what he said, looking at what you've done, what you can do differently, and then just tell yourself every day you can do it. And I think something I'm going to share now, it's a bit of a vulnerable thing to do, but sometimes when I used to be stressed before a meeting, I used to do the power pose. I don't know if you know it, where you just stand and you put your arms down and you're like, I've got this. So I do this, to be honest. I still do it because I'm like, yes, I've got this. And that's my way of like encouraging myself, like, okay, you're good, you're fine, you can do this. So again, I think it's just shifting your focus in the things that you can achieve rather than the ones that you cannot achieve. And regrets, I honestly have no regrets. I have times when I doubt myself, definitely. That's when the saboteurs come into place, especially the one which is called the hyperachiever who always wants to be the best and do the best and so on. But I've realized that, you know what? I'm happy with what I'm doing. I may be the best for me or for others, but at the end of the day, as long as I'm happy and relaxed and I'm not like stressing myself out, I think that's more than enough. So I think it's just a matter of how you choose to look at things and the way you want to take them. Just take them as they are, live in the present, and just enjoy it. Because life goes by really quickly. So I'm still young, as I said before, and wiser, but time goes by. So I think we need to enjoy the present as much as we can.
That was
Sharina?
lovely. Thank you.
Sharina?
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to what Iana said. One of the things, Vinitra, and you and I come from a product background as well. One of the things that we have to do is to go into these difficult meetings where, like you have to hang in there, right? In the beginning, I used to work for IBS as well before. First, I did a number of smaller projects. Then I did the PSS. Then I moved to Ops. And when I moved from there to another company, so I moved to Emirates, I was thinking, oh God, I know only PSS and Ops. What about other things? I don't know anything there. How do I start? But then I changed and changed and changed. I don't know how many other people, Vinitra, have changed departments at Emirates,
Yeah.
Then it became kind of easy. Then it's like, okay, like have your curious mind. You just go there and say, okay, I don't know anything or I know something. Find your one thing I think is find your transferable skill. What can I take from this into the next thing? Second, people actually help you if you ask. So if you say, okay,
Sorry to
what is
interrupt
that?
you. If you
Yeah.
ask, that's the main thing. If you ask.
Yeah. So be vulnerable enough to I don't know this. What do you mean? Like, can you help? Can you tell me more about what? And they're quite happy to tell you. And then you learn from every conversation. And I think the agile ways of working also help me. So you don't have to know everything. Earlier, I used to want to know everything, like what happens at the end of 3 years, at the end of the project. I wanted to know that upfront. But then, like every 2 weeks, every sprint, every iteration, you kind of learn more, and it keeps on changing. Like the world it's not sitting still; it keeps on changing. So you don't need to know everything. You can learn. That's the beauty of it. You can learn in the weeks that come. So it helps when it's like you just need to be open to that change. It's not going to be. You see, you'll never be the expert, but it's okay to not be the expert.
Sadia is already smiling all the time. Now you want to say something.
I do. I just have to keep trying to find that mute button. That's the trouble. My technical skills here. We're normally on Google links, aren't we, ladies? So trying to navigate Teams. So the thoughts that are coming up for me are When we have these thoughts in our minds that start with the words "I should," it can get a little bit dangerous, because we can start listening to those thoughts as if they're facts, but they're not, and that's the good news. I should know this already. Oh, I should be better. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Or I should. It can get really actually like a weight on your ankle that's kind of pulling you down into the water when we have sentences like that in our minds, because they're also full of judgment, aren't they? You're sort of judging yourself all the time with those sorts of words, and they can really kind of hold you back from being able to do the things that Shirin was just saying, like be curious. Because, for example, if I think to myself, oh, I should know that, then I'm not going to say to somebody, oh, would you mind telling me about a little bit more about this or a little bit more about that? So that little monster in my mind, as you put it, Ioana, you know, the should monster, that little monster in my mind actually holds me back from being able to just have the conversations I need to have to do the best job that I can, you know, to partake in the teams that I'm in fully and wholly and completely. You know, those little thoughts and the little monsters in my mind, if I don't see them for what they are, and if I accept them as a fact, actually they can totally change the path of my life towards a pretty limited dead end. But it's the moment that you realize thoughts are not facts. Thoughts are definitely not facts. And it's the moment that you become the observer of your thoughts that actually is really powerful. The moment that you say, I'm having the thought that, oh, I'm having the thought that I'm not good enough. Doesn't mean I'm not good enough. It just means I'm having the thought that I'm not good enough. Oh, but now I can start querying whether that's true or not. And what evidence do I have of that? Oh, I don't have any. Okay, well, I'm not accepting that then. Thank you very much. Little monster, go away. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Do your PQ reps, sorry, technical term. But do your mindful activities, as we learned, to bring yourself back into the moment, and then choose the better path forwards for yourself. So yeah, that's what I just wanted to impart. I think when we really get the message that thoughts are not facts, then actually you can kind of surf the waves of change rather than getting submerged in the water of change.
So I think we were discussing this, Satya, via WhatsApp, that we might plan for a session with all the cohort members, that you as a group, you discuss what was this program, what were the findings, what are the impacts, and so on. Maybe we can do this in February next year if you like. And then because it's great to see that this program is inspiring so many ladies beyond flying. That's great. So thank you, Ioana. This was a fantastic talk. You are really a huge energy source. And as we were talking about glass half full and half empty, we see this on record. What you were saying in this positive manner, you were really creating so many smiling faces around you. And when you see smiling faces, you start to smile yourself. And exactly the other way around, if you're negative and you only send negative vibrations, is creating exactly this negative amplification around you, which is then again potentially also amplifying your own negative thoughts. So I think that's a perfect proof of optimism, and positivity is better than trying to see always the problem in every situation. So thank you very much. Fantastic talk. I will share the recording as soon as possible. Just looking ahead, what's next? Next is in August, another talk about uplifting women in executive positions with Vivian from Germany. She is a former Olympic or championship swimmer, Also, very interesting story. Yeah, looking forward to this August 20th. And if you know a smart, positive, upbeat, and enthusiastic colleague, let her join Ladies Beyond Flying and let us grow this network and help each other and uplift and empower each other. Like with this session, I think this was excellent, Ioana. Thank you very much. And until we see each other again, please stay healthy and safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Take
Bye.
care, everybody. Thank you, Ioana.
Thank you.
Thanks.